Yes, we are live again here on the SCHUNK booth with my buddy Michael. Our voices are starting to fade, but we are having fun. We're having the sexy Phoebe voices for those of you out there who have watched Friends. Michael, let's talk about the technology that we're going to go over to get these guys excited. For those of you watching, tuning in right now, do not forget to put in your comments. You're going to want to ask questions about this fascinating technology. Michael, what are we going over today?
Yeah, so first of all, super excited to be back here. It's been a crazy show. There's been so many people on the booth excited to talk about all these technologies. So if we look at a few themes that we have on our booth, one of the first ones, it's been a theme for a while, it's the 5-axis machining, multi-axis machine tools, hybrid. You know, now you're starting not to even be able to know whether it's a mill or a lathe because it's doing both. So one of the technologies I'm really excited about talking about is how we're addressing that trend of 5-axis machines, mill turns, and so on. The next one that's really big, and this is obvious, right, but it's automation. But the discussions seem to be a little bit different. Every single person who comes in the booth, since I've been here Monday, I ask them if they're thinking about automation or if they're doing it now, and the answer is always yes. No matter what the size of the shop, they could be a few-man job shop, all the way up to a large OEM, but they're thinking about automation. And the cool thing is there's all kinds of technologies that have made it easier and more approachable. And the third kind of relates to automation, but it's connected devices. And everything is becoming more connected. So for example, we're so familiar with pneumatic grippers, pneumatic vices, and so on. There's a lot of things that are being electrified, not just the vehicles, right? So you've got grippers that are going electric. It's giving you more data, more accessibility and control over the components. And so that's really the third thing is connected devices. And I hope we can kind of give a good overview of all that in the technology tour.
Oh, we definitely can. Michael was telling me before we got started that he has been doing this all week long, been very excited about the technology, and he is not lying. This is one smooth operator. We are excited to show you this technology. So let's send this over to Joe to get this party started.
I'm here with Henry. We're going to be talking about cobalt systems, but more for kind of bin packing, post-processing, loads of tasks that you're going to do after your what you would have thought would be the high-value work on your machine tool. But sometimes the high-value work, actually, if the machine tool is productive, the high-value work can sometimes be just packing a bin or maybe doing some post-processing. So Henry, what problems might people have when they've got to deal with packing or bin post-processing, deburring, welding? What's the story? What problems are they having?
Yeah, great question. So the main issue customers have is they have a bin full of parts and they have to provide them in a certain orientation. So they need to either create hard fixtures to which they load before they start their process, and create fixtures individual for each part. And if you don't want to do that and you want to have that flexibility of providing parts which are normally in a 3D bin picking solution or problem, so you have them orientated in different orientations.
This is loose, unstructured parts. They're normally consumables. They're normally smaller.
Unstructured and hard to grasp in certain orientations.
You imagine a robot gripper is going to really struggle to not collide into any of these things trying to pick that out.
Exactly. It's a complex process, and we broke that process down and created we used the benefits of it having a 2D problem.
So you've just flattened your hand out there to show that this is, instead on a flat plane, it's 2D.
Instead of a 3D bin picking problem, we now have a problem, a solution for a 2D bin picking.
And you can see that here, where instead of in a bin, we've got a big flat plane. Why does that make it easier?
Exactly. So we break down the process and have the parts already in a certain orientation, which is a 2D plane, just a structured surface. And the benefit of this system is we have a bundle created that makes it very easy for you to have not that complex process anymore. You have an easy to integrate and easy to all-in-one solution for your providing of the parts into your post-process. So loading a machine, for example, you don't have to have an expensive 3D bin picking camera. You break down the process and define grasp positions individual for your part. And then you can grab your part and
grasp it very easily. And we'll talk about the application bundles in a little bit, but can you give a few examples of the kind of problems that your customers might be facing when they're running the machine tools? Maybe even the machine tools are even automated. They're making loads of these parts, but they're getting chunked out and they're getting sent straight down, maybe some kind of rotor rack like this, or straight down into a parts catcher, and you've got to deal with all these massive parts. Can you give some examples where customers have had real problems and you solve them with an application bundle like this?
Yeah, so one perfect example is one of our customers had metal bended parts, and they were provided in a huge Euro pallet sized bin, and at the moment it's a manual process. He picks out the part, holds it into a machine and welds a nut to it. And instead
it's a single welding process. If you've got 10,000 parts to do that on, it's going to be excruciating.
Yeah, exactly. And now, instead of having an expensive 3D bin picking camera to have the exact position or exact grasp position to pick out the part, we provide a solution that makes it easy for you with a camera system to detect the part in various orientations and provide it in the exact orientation you need it, so you can easily have a simple way to weld that nut without having a worker there picking it out of the bin or using an expensive 3D bin picking system.
So it's all about simplifying the problem and moving it from a 3D bin picking problem to 2D and taking all the complexity out of the problem before you apply the equipment, and that's the capital intensive side of things. That's what costs the money. And let's move back to, we said we're going to talk about application bundles. Now, what does that mean? Why wouldn't people go and source their own parts and do their own programming? Why would they want to choose an application bundle from SCHUNK?
Exactly. So you said a great point. So by taking out the complexity of a 3D to a 2D problem, that's the first step of taking out complexity. And what we provide is even one step further, because now you don't need any knowledge of how to program a vision system. You have a flexible gripper with a different communication system. We have created one bundle. All the components are working with each other and they know each other. The camera system knows how the gripper looks like. It has the geometry of the finger. It's called bounding box inside the web interface where you set up the camera system. So it makes it very easy for you to integrate it into your environment, and you don't need any knowledge of how to deal with the different communication protocols.
So many complexities, because we were talking about there's two different ways you could grip these. The gripper can go, oh, hello, I don't want to get done by this guy, but the gripper can grip the part like this, and also like this. So there's two different ways to grip the part. The parts could be arranged in almost an infinite number of ways, and there's loads of different ways that the robot could grip parts, needs to grip parts, where it can go, and all of these things are so difficult to program like longhand. It's all about, and there's been a big push to simplifying that whole process. And how easy do you make it for the customer to bring it on? How do you make it easy for them when this is a daunting system? What about the training? How do you make sure they're going to be able to make the use out of this piece of kit?
Yeah, there's no training needed at all.
No training? Wait, can we say that again? Yeah, can you just please tell me that again?
At all. So the huge benefit is, in the past, customers have to do 10 steps to first communicate with the camera system and set up that environmental conditions. Then you have the problems of communicating with the robot, with the robot itself, with the gripper itself, and these are multiple steps you have to walk through. And now this all is under just one single user interface. So all you have to do is 3 steps under the same structure. The camera is communicating with the robot and the gripper. Gripper gets exact positions from the camera and knows what to do. You can pre-position it, so you have collision-free grasp positions, and you pre-position the gripper so you not collide with the parts on the flexiball around you, and that makes it very easy. And especially, you don't have to have any knowledge in vision systems. You don't have to have any knowledge in how to communicate between an I/O-Link gripper and an Ethernet IP camera.
You abstract away all of those complexities. Thank you so much, Henry. And I can't believe that he just said no training needed, which is absolutely ridiculous. There are comments in, there are loads of questions in. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to get to those in a second. Keep those coming in, because we absolutely love the questions, and so do people like Henry, especially when they're unexpected and these guys don't know the answer. They love trying to wreck their brains right on camera. So over to Tony now.
Yeah, welcome to the SCHUNK booth. We're now going to be talking chucks, 0-point systems as well. Mike, welcome to the stream. Let's start with this one. Two-jaw compensating chuck, I guess.
Absolutely. So everything we're going to see here today on this overall booth is going to be in relation to our Flex series. So the main motto here is going to be flexible. You never know what's going to be coming tomorrow for parts, VTLs, and mill turns. So with this first chuck, this one really is the ultimate in flexibility. With this chuck, it's a 4-jaw chuck that can be switched from a 4-jaw centric clamping chuck, 2-jaw chuck working basically as a vise, to being a 2+2 chuck. So odd shaped parts, castings, anything that's out of round or going into a square or rectangular part is going to be able to be held in this chuck.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Castings and forgings are notoriously difficult to hold, aren't they? So having the 2+2 point holding, I suppose, it's a huge advantage.
Absolutely, especially if you're going to worry about out of round parts or anything like that. It's going to come in, it's going to contact the part, and then it's going to clamp from the other side. So you're not going to distort that part, and you're going to be able to hold things that would normally be done in a typical fixture, things along those lines, all in one piece of work holding.
But there's no reason you couldn't just use that for a radial part, a normal traditional radial part, is there? Again, for the flexibility.
Absolutely, yeah. So by taking out this center plate right here, we can switch this into a centric clamping part. So you can go to a round part, you're just using standard jaws.
And there's not many places for the swarf to get trapped either. So I look at some chucks, and I wonder how long they would last. But this, it's closed, isn't it?
Absolutely closed. It's easy for the coolant to get all the swarf off of the chuck, but also it's a semi-sealed chuck. So in those ductile iron environments or gray iron environments, you're not going to get all that contamination and wear on the inside of your chuck.
And if we move across here, this is a product that most people on the stream will be aware of, the Vero S. I see these on 5-axis machines, I see these on horizontal machining centres, on BMC, see them everywhere. But for the people that don't know much about them, perhaps you can just run through us.
Yeah, absolutely. Vero S is a staple SCHUNK product, very well known over the years for it. In this case here, it's a flexible round NSL turn, so this is going to go in your mill turns or VTLs. And in this case, it's going to be aired open on operation. And basically any of the chucks that we're looking at here today can be dropped on here in a minute or less. So if you have a palletization system, you could have these off to the side, open this up, drop on your other piece of work holding. Once again, flexible. That's the entire motto here, being able to go from one piece of work holding to the next very quickly.
So big seller?
Absolutely. We deal with this on a daily basis all over the world.
Everything's a good seller for SCHUNK, right? And if we move to this, it's obviously, I presume this is a lightweight chuck for demanding applications.
Yeah, so on your mill turns, you're going to be limited on your table capacity, especially when you start getting a larger part on top of there and everything. So with this, we can go to those larger diameters, but keep that weight down. But it's also flexible enough that we can remove these outer posts here and go into just a smaller chuck on the inner chuck and drop even more weight off of this and be completely flexible.
And I noticed I've seen people off camera before just pushing these in and out really fast. So you can just give us a demo.
Absolutely. So it's just a button on the end here. If you got your part sitting in here and you want to come up and get right near it, you can bring that up. Otherwise, if you need to get into a smaller diameter part, we do also have the metric tongue and groove system here.
What's wrong with a good old chuck key?
Absolutely. Cutting time out. That's what it's all about, getting that time of changeover and clamping your parts out of it.
Sure. And finally, we're looking at this here. It's, what's that, 246. So are these 2+2+2, almost like 3 pairs?
It is, and it's also a centric chuck as well. So the beauty of this one is that you can go 2+2+2. Very dedicated for small ring or large ring parts that are very thin-walled, so you don't want that deformation. So each pair is going to work with the jaw next to it, come in, contact, not deform that part and have it return out of round. Or you can switch it over to a centric clamping part for a round part that's maybe thicker walled or, once again, just your traditional turning.
So if we look at the marketplace, I'm sure there's lots of these about, but typically who is buying these? What type of application, what type of components?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are popular in aerospace and the hydraulics industry, so hydraulic cylinders, things like that. Many applications with those. Anything with smaller rings, a lot of times those rings end up going into a weldment or something along those lines, but many different industries.
And just a final one for me, really. Which is your favourite? I know they're all slightly different, but you must have a favourite as a SCHUNK employee.
Yeah, I'd say the Rhoda M Flex on the end. It's the most versatile. You could use it in almost any machine, any versatility, and the Vero S. I mean, everything else goes on top of Vero S, so it's the base system for everything we do.
Mike, couldn't put it better myself. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching this segment. Over to the next one.
Michael, one of my favorite topics on the planet right now is automated machine tending, and you guys just keep continuing to step up your game and be the leaders in that. So we have a cell in front of us right now that's doing something that's kind of cool, right? Can we talk about this for the audience?
Yeah, for sure. It's also one of my favorite topics. So in this cell, what we're showing, so traditionally with automated machine tending, it was always thought about for really high quantities, and you know, we're doing this one process. This is what we're automating. And these grippers that you see here, if you're speccing in an automated process and it's like, okay, I need this gripper, I need this robot, I need this machine, and it's going to do this one part, this gripper, the PGN Plus gripper, it's a perfect solution for you because we have thousands of different configurations of it. You can get exactly the force, the stroke, the size you need. What we're finding more and more these days is our customers all the technologies have opened up automation to be more flexible. And what that means is you can actually now start automating at lower lot sizes. And so you have to have the right technologies to address that. And this gripper we're showing here on the end of the robot arm, that's our PGL Plus P. And what it is, it's like a little in-between, or it's a more general gripper to handle all kinds of different parts. And this demo, it's kind of showing how we have 3 different grippers, the PGN Plus, if you're going to dedicate those to that one particular part. Meanwhile, the gripper on the end of the robot arm, it has the ability to pick up all of these parts. And it's actually showing right now how that larger gripper, without changing the jaws, you wouldn't be able to grip the part. So this one PGL Plus P can grip all 3 of these parts, and it's that nice kind of general all-around gripper. And that's the pneumatic version of it. What we're also talking about on the booth today too is how everything's just being more connected, things are being electrified, and there's this other gripper around here that I'd love to show you if we can walk over here.
Oh, we're definitely going to take a walk, but let's answer a couple of questions before we get over there. And also, just to talk with the audience a little bit, this was 3 different operations or 3 different grippers needed to be changed out. When we think about machine operations a lot, we're always talking about how can we reduce operator setups? How can we reduce operator operations? So instead of 3 machines, it's 1 machine. How can I do more? The same concept's being applied here where your gripper has a longer range of motion that allows you to do small, medium, big. It's kind of like the 3 bears, right? You know, and then you get the perfect one, and that's SCHUNK. Is that how that's working?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. We're the perfect one.
I like how that goes. All right, couple questions we have here. Let's go with, well, first of all, this isn't a question, but we got Adam Kelly on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. SCHUNK Live. Should you do it?
What, SCHUNK Live?
SCHUNK Live, yeah. The other one is, what does the future of Internet of Things look like for SCHUNK? This is from Jennifer Kilman. What does that look like?
Looks bright.
That's an easy one.
2 thumbs up, yeah.
2 thumbs up. The other one is, can we see the SCHUNK? I choked on my own. Never mind. Can we see the SCHUNK hands? She doesn't mean like this is not what they mean, right? What are they talking about?
Yeah, we've got a gripper that looks exactly like a hand. I don't know how many different joints it has in it, but it's not here on the show, but I'm sure you could find it on the website. I think we actually, right on the website, it's going to have some videos of that SCHUNK hand.
And we'll make sure to get to you in the comments with a link to that hand so you can see it there. It's not on the booth. So with that being said, let's step over to these electrical ones as we've segued into previously what you were talking about. Now, to me, Michael, this is kind of like an upgrade, right? Because what we were looking at before was pneumatic. Now we're moving into electric, boogie, woogie, woogie. But also, we're getting information. And when we're talking about working through the night, when we're talking about all these machine monitoring, all these concepts we're trying to create so that we can reduce this labor shortage and do more work, electric is getting that information as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this gripper, it's kind of very similar in concept to the pneumatic gripper we were just looking at, where it has a really long stroke. But this stroke is essentially infinite. It can go completely open all the way to completely closed, which means with this one gripper, this one setup, you can pick up any size part. But in addition, you also have all kinds of connectivity options available. You can control exactly where the grippers stop. You can control the force. You know where the fingers are. And then in terms of the communication I forget what you
aspect of it, the communication aspect of it. We've been doing this a long time, and it's been a long week.
Yeah, we've got all the options you need, I/O link, Ethernet, Modbus, whatever it is. That's all compatible with this gripper. Yeah, but it all connects back to connectivity. So with this gripper, you're stepping up. You have the ability to completely monitor what's going on with it. You have more control over it, more flexibility, and it's just a really simple electrical connection, and it interfaces really easily with the robot controls as well.
Very well said. Absolutely perfect. Mike Sapita, thank you for the shout out. Any final statements to close this out? Quick 30 seconds that you'd like to share with the audience. Thank you all for watching, by the way, and the comments you sent. Michael, any final thoughts?
No, just come by the booth and see us. That's why we're here. I'm excited to be back in person, so come and see us in person. If you can't, then get with contact one of our local. We're all over the world, so if you want to get in touch with SCHUNK, just look up on the website where you can get in touch with SCHUNK, and we'll come and visit you.
You nailed it, brother. Very well done. IMTS 2022, my friends. Thank you all for watching.